This is an investigation to answer the question, how has food preparation changed over time? Primary sources from the Michigan Historical Museum will be examined in order to help answer this question. The big ideas will focus on how electricity has changed and improved food preparation, and how the tools used for food preparation have changed to fit changing social styles. We will examine artifacts from 3 different time periods, starting in the late 1800s, stopping in the 1920s, and ending in current times.
If I lived in the late 1800s, I would use this tool to make mashed potatoes. It would take lots of arm strength and tire me out. Years later, in the 1920s, I would use this tool, which made mashing potatoes much easier. All I had to do was squeeze 2 handles together. Years after that, in the 1950s, electricity was used to make this mixer, which made making mashed potatoes even easier. Today we use the same type of mixer, which comes in a variety of different styles and colors.
If I lived in the late 1800s, I would use an ice box to keep my food cold and to prevent it from spoiling. Then, in the 1920s, with the help of electricity, I would use a refrigerator like this one. This was helpful because it allows more food to be stored for longer. In the 1950s, I would continue to use a refrigerator, but a freezer was added, and it was made in a larger variety of colors to match individual styles. Today, I view my refrigerator as more than an appliance to store food. My refrigerator is the main item in my kitchen, and some can even have televisions and ice machines on the front.
If I lived in the late 1800s, I would use the rolling pin to shape and flatten the dough for cooking. The rolling pin was one solid piece of wood which required a lot of arm strength. Later on, in the 1920s, it was easier because the handles rotated separately. In the 1950s, the rolling pins came out in different colors to add to the overall look of the kitchen. Today, rolling pins are made from different materials and have various textures for specific cooking.
If I lived during the late 1800s, this is the type of stove I would use to cook my food. I would put the wood inside, and the flames would heat the cast iron stove, and I would cook my food on top of it. In the 1920s, with the advent of electricity, cooking food wouldn't require me to chop wood, and I would be able to control the cooking temperature. During the 1950s, the styles and colors of the stoves changed to match the preferences of the people during this time. These stoves are also more energy efficient. Today, the stoves can be gas or electric and come in a wider variety of colors to match the design of the kitchen.
It can be seen, based on these artifacts, how preparing food has changed since the 1800s. Tools once required manual labor in order to achieve their purpose. Then, more complex tools were developed that depended on mechanical force and not manual force. The invention of electricity changed the landscape of food preparation drastically. A button on a machine could provide the same result as tiring manual labor. After electricity became the norm, style and use became of utmost importance. This led to different colors, functions that were very specific to certain foods, and functions that make life in general easier. These could be perforated rolling pins, hot pink mixers, stoves that tell time, or refrigerators that have unlimited access to the internet. The future of food and its preparation is virtually unlimited. Appliances will continue to become more efficient and make preparing food easier. Who knows, perhaps some new form of power will replace electricity, and all of the modern kitchen tools of today will someday be artifacts in a museum. This investigation was based on the following Michigan grade level content expectations. Explain how historians use primary and secondary sources to answer questions about the past. Draw upon stories, photos, artifacts, and other primary sources to compare the life of people in towns and cities in Michigan and in the Great Lakes region during a variety of time periods from 1837 to the present. The artifacts examined were not necessarily specific to Michigan, but each of them were present in Michigan. In addition, they are all still in use in Michigan homes today, making this investigation relevant and relatable to Michigan students.